Okay, so we use the Excel sheet to get this. And if you don't have Excel, you can hand do them on these. But then our next one is the point system for the houses. Above, below, rising, setting, intuition, feeling, sensation, thinking, the elements of the houses, and the angular, succeeding, cadent. Now, again, on that Excel sheet, you go down further and you enter the points for each house. Should have an enter, should be one here too. So you enter the points for how many points in each house. Then you see them in the keywords for the houses. I have 3 in values, 3 in expression, 1 in security, 1 in honor, 2 in friendship, 2 in conscience. So values and expression are my 2 strongest houses, second and third. Then when you look at rising or setting, I have 11 points rising, 1 point setting. So that's a really distinctive instigating. I'm always instigating ideas. Like a new idea, I got to rate it, I got to get this out. I'm driven to put out my ideas. So being the Libra, I get the ideas and I got to communicate them. I'm driving. It just goes on. Anything I do, I'm pushing, I'm instigating. I interrupt people a lot of times, don't mean to, but I can't stand to sit and wait for things to get more boring. And yeah, I don't, so this means I can put out very easily, but I have trouble receiving from, I can do for others better than I can take from others. Better than I can be sensitive or receptive to others. So as a counselor, this is a big problem. I had to work and learn how to use the setting side of my chart and how to understand that in spite of my tendency to ignore it. So the rising 11 to 1 is a big distinction. Above or below, I have 5 above, 7 below. So I'm a little bit more subjectively oriented than objectively. So I'm really instigative and a little bit more subjective and objective. More into my own inner being and expressing it than being functional. Okay, then you go to angular, succeeding, cadent. Now, you're half thinking, sometimes when you're going through the houses, you'll see them, they're representing similar patterns to the signs. They're sort of reinforcing, but sometimes they're going contrary to the signs. So you want to observe when this happens, because it's factors within that person. So I have, in the signs I had, the majority, I had 12 points, nighttime is increasing. As it going towards greater darkness, towards more involvement. Here, I have 11 points instigating. So I'm instigating things and then gets more involved with others. But I don't react to others that more. So another view, so I'm good at the first wave. When that comes to responding, it's much more difficult. So they sort of in your background of your mind, you're making sense like this, but you're just noticing these basic factors that they stand out. Angular, succeeding, cadent, 2, 5, and 5. So here in the houses, it's succeeding and cadent, both determined and adaptable, and not so driving. But in the signs, it was driving and determined, and not so much adaptable. So when it comes to attitudes, I don't change that easily. When it comes to circumstances, I can change a lot. When it comes to attitudes, I'm driving to make them happen. When it comes to circumstances, I'm not so pushy. So you just begin to see those factors. So that's the point. How does it work for you? Well, I see it like this. So it's just that same as we did with the worksheets, making it personal, taking it from the numbers. But this is just basic statistics out of your chart and the beginning of if you're going to do any kind of statistical analysis, you want to study the charts of football stars or dancers, you know, or just married women versus unmarried women. You got to compare all the points and totals, and you suddenly get relevant data. This is the magic. Some of the magic is right when you start comparing all these points. But so we really, our first 15 points are describing these things. Okay, this is the new part of what we've done. Of these steps to interpretation, we do these first. Then the next steps are taking them each planet in the sign, in the house, and the aspects. We've done all of these. We just haven't put them all together. So for you, you reorganize these sheets, and you put the moon sign sheet together with the moon house sheet together with the moon aspect sheets, and technically you work through each of them. But you've already, if you've done the moon sign, moon house, moon, if you've done the worksheets, you don't have to do any further work for this level exam. You've already done it. You just include them in organized with the 3 for each planet together. Okay, we'll be talking about it. We'll be going into this, but okay. But this is how I would illustrate this. I'm just gonna. Yeah. Okay. So this is my chart. October 17, 1946 in Montreal at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm the only one who was born exactly at 2 a.m., but everyone in the family had a specific time. And mine was, to me, it's proved accurate in any kind of tests I found. Okay. So here I have my chart with just the aspects from the moon. So this is what we're looking at the moon. We want to see here, we see the moon. It's in the sign Cancer. It's in the 11th house, and it has a square to the sun and a trine to Mercury and Mars. That's it. These are the things, the factors we got to put together. Simple. Moon in Cancer in the 11th house, squared by the sun, trine by Mercury and Mars. That says it all. But wow, when you just say it and you go into depth, it means it has a great depth to it. Each layer, each thing has a great depth to this. Many people don't know you can go this deep in a chart in terms of psychological bearing or analysis or trying to put yourself together. This is incredibly profound. So, and as we go along, we discover it. So right now we're still tapping the depth, realizing that this is there, realizing that this much information is there from your horoscope. Later on, next class, we start the timings and we see when any of the planets get accentuated. And once we see when, we know, oh, okay, moon's getting hit, but how does the moon work? And then we can do a little review going through each of these categories and say, oh yeah, I can really see that. There's a tendency for the mind to make quick associations, so it's just this, and think that that's enough. But if you've got a real problem in some light, it's not enough. You have to back up and go through the in-depth thinking, which you just took the time to do by putting up with me for the last year or 9 months. So this is the picture. We have the moon, your past, your memory, your ability to reflect, your moods, your feelings, your dreams, basic needs, instincts, your habits, your lifestyle, your mother, stomachs, breasts, nurturing, your sympathy. It's everything before this moment and your memory or reflection of it. So we know that we've gone through this. So now these things are becoming more familiar of the moon. And here's the worksheets. So this is my worksheet where I had the night, we got each of the categories, we've done it. So my nighttime is increasing, momentum towards belonging and making commitments. So for my moon, I meet someone, I feel close to you, I need you, I want to belong more, I'm getting in there, I come on too strong. I feel I need to be close, I want to be close, let's move in, let's do this. My moon pushes in that direction. And the daylight is greater because it's still in Cancer. So I tend to push that anyways. I tend to push, I feel this need, let's go for it. You know, like that's the driving side, the cardinal side of it. But here I put, I'm not going to read through all these categories. In fact, in the RASA forum, these sheets are all there and you go through and study them in greater detail. It was just examples of, I made like nighttime is increasing, the comments, we've done it, but I just comment, I feel an instinct need to belong and nurture or sympathize with people around me. When others, I tend, with others, I tend to make commitments to reinforce the common goals or need. When I got into drumming, I went to many drum circles. I took classes from several drummers, even moved in with one of my teachers to share a place and be a greater part of drumming. This culminated with my initiating, coordinated, and administrating a drum stage at a big African music festival. This lasts for a couple of years. Eventually, it's taking up so much time, I didn't have time to do other things. So it has its undertow, but this is the way it works. So we've done all this stuff. I'm not going to go through this. I'm just showing you the organization of what a complete natal interpretation would be. So then it has the water, the rulership of the moon, the keywords I feel, the colors. And then it has the moon in the houses, does the same thing. Projects my feelings, it's projective. It's objective social, I project it out into the outer world. So often I'm very personal in objective, impersonal situations. That can be funny or that can be kind of difficult at times. So it goes through the objectifying the thinking. So again, moon's in the 11th house above the horizon, rising, projecting the feelings out to the relevance to others. Then you have the succeedent, air or water at mine's, or no, this is the ones in the, yes, we're in the air houses. And it's water sign, air house, express my feelings. So it just goes through these, and then we have the aspects put in. The conjunction, the trine, I put the actual degree, and the aspect. I put the actual degree for every planet from the aspect heavy. But then when there's a minor aspect or no aspect, we're not using it, we're just making the comments and the examples from the actual aspects. So the square from the sun and moon, in the old days, that would normally mean bad eyesight and you need glasses. From days before TV. Now that there's TV and computers, everybody's eyesight's bad, everybody needs glasses. It's hard, it's not just this that holds into that. Okay, so there's no aspect. So each planet is organized like this. So you get used to thinking there's so much information, but to navigate it through, you think one planet at a time. You're listening to a symphony, you're listening to a band playing. You want to hear how somebody's playing, you try and focus and listen to that one instrument, to listen to lead guitar, or to listen to the bass, or to listen to, you listen to one and you see what they're doing. And you're trying to ignore or put the other stuff in the background. It's never totally in the background because the band's playing, but it takes a certain type of focusing to be able to hear one person playing an instrument in a band. It takes a certain amount of discipline like this to focus on one planet and do it. But this is how I work, one planet at a time. And that by the time you put all the pieces together, the whole chart comes together. You know, it's not enough to say I got 3 planets in Scorpio. Boy, it's really Scorpio. It's important to focus that it's a very big difference between which planets make it up, and you can try and group them together. Really, you just do them each separately, and they all add together. This was the Mars, no Mercury. This was Mercury, and the Mercury conjuncts Mars, squares Saturn and Pluto, and trines Neptune. This is my Mercury and Scorpio in the 3rd house. So we set it up to see it. You don't have to draw these charts out. I just drew it out to make that example. All the aspects are in there, and you can look at a chart and cut through and see which aspects are coming to the Mars. But I just wanted to reinforce this idea, one planet at a time, think it through, do justice. To do justice to a planet, when you want to understand a planet, you look at the planet, you think about the planet, then you think about the different levels of attitudes, the categories of attitudes that affect that planet, then you look at the categories of the circumstances that planet gets active in, and then you see. So the moon is always, by attitude, by attitudes, it's your moon and your reflection. By circumstances, there's many, it's always fluctuating and changing. There are many changes wherever the moon is. And that relationship, it works differently. We've worked through this with the signs and the houses and the aspects. Every now and then, you can always go back and review it and rebuild your depth again. I do it every time I teach the class. But these steps, and getting used to these steps, are important to see. So you need to have it prepared. So you've got this, you need to think in this way. So in this case, Mars, here's the Mars. Mercury, sorry, here's the Mercury. So, and then the Mercury's in its categories, nighttime increasing, nighttime is greater, darkness increasing, and nighttime is greater. It's reflective.